Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Mindy Mcfann.
And this is It's Movie Time.
Yes, it is.
And right in here, I'm going to insert. And this is Back Talk.
Okay.
Last time I'll cut it in.
Okay.
Mindy.
Yes, John.
Well, how about my outfit?
I think you look lovely.
Now why?
I think you're trying to look like you're from Texas.
Not just anywhere in Texas, but West Texas.
Yes. Yes.
Surely a hotbed of redneck culture.
Yes, it has. I used to live in El Paso.
All right.
And so I have a little different skew on that.
Very good.
Not quite as flat about that.
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, we'll get into that. The movie is Vengeance.
Vengeance. Yes, it is.
Now, do you know anything about B.J. Novak, who is the writer, director, producer,
Yeah, I love him. He did the Office and has done a lot of work with Mindy Mcfann. That's what I know about him.
Okay, so he's off on his own now.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Small film.
Yes.
How could you characterize it?
Yeah, small but not teeny. The feel of it, and I don't quite know why, reminds me a little of Racing Arizona, kind of that size film, and that little kind of look into another world. That's what it made me think of.
Made me think of, and again, it's been years, Paris, Texas. With
Yes.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, same kind of.
And so these little towns in West Texas are characterized as being, well, kind of the antithesis of the Northeast, where you just came back from, New York City.
Yes.
And that's what our boy is.
Yeah.
Novak plays, what's his name? Yeah.
Jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays a writer for the New Yorker.
Right.
From New York. Jewish, which comes up repeatedly in the movie. And very stereotypical of what we call now the elite.
Yes. Snooty.
Yep.
Blue State.
Yep.
And so somehow a casual girlfriend of his.
All of his girlfriends were casual, if I'm not mistaken. All his girlfriends just had numbers online.
But the family of this girl,
Mm-hmm.
of his former girlfriend, believes that there was a deeper relationship between them.
Yes, she was a former hookup, and the family thought they had a relationship.
So he goes down. All right, his name. Let's get his name. Is it Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so Ben goes down to West Texas to attend to her funeral.
Yes, he gets sucked into doing that because I think it was more of a bother to not have to go down in the argument, and he doesn't seem to want to do anything that's a bother. That's my impression. So when the family, assuming he's the boyfriend, thinks he has to come to the funeral, he goes, okay.
And it's a great point, because it's not totally clear until later on that he sees an opportunity here. He wants to start a podcast from New York.
Yes.
Now he's a part-time writer for the New Yorker,
Mm-hmm.
not New York magazine, but the New Yorker.
Yeah.
And he sees an opportunity. He and his connection there sees a chance for him to build on this connection to make a podcast.
Yeah, opportunistic is a good word to describe
yes,
him.
right. So, and very characteristic of him,
Yes.
I think.
And in every aspect of his life, every relationship, everything.
So, yeah, so we're kind of dancing around what this movie is really about.
Mm-hmm.
And I preface that by saying I'm not sure everything it's about,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it may be about too much.
Right.
Would you agree?
Right. Yes, but it's not hard to follow or anything. It's just you don't get it is a murder mystery, but you don't get intensely into the murder mystery aspect. It's also a cultural debate, and it's not completely a cultural debate either. So I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's billed as a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find much comic in it?
The people in the theater I was with were laughing really hard. I was not laughing as much as they would. I thought it was amusing, but it wasn't, they were laughing a lot more than me, so maybe there's some humor, maybe they were from Texas, I don't know. But I did not think it was a laugh out loud. It was amusing. I mean, there were kind of, some of the things with her little brother and mother and stuff were kind of funny. Their names, the children were named after cities, except the little boy was called El Stupido, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, right.
I think because that's such a big intellectual pejorative you would never say to a kid, but they were like, no big deal. The kid didn't seem to be bothered by it really either. So, again, cultural risk.
Yeah, and where you would think that might be over the top, look at these rednecks, it isn't. In fact, do I sense that he becomes maybe kind of connected with his family?
Oh, absolutely. I also think he's surprised because one of the things I love is they're very, like, on the edges, very stereotypical, what I would think somebody in Texas would be like. But I love that they had these little intellectual jabs every once in a while, where they bring up these like esoteric things that you're like, oh, they're not supposed to know that, only the New York guy's supposed to know it. And they did, and it was really lovely.
I think one of the scenes that I remember best is in Whataburger.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a kind of bonding that goes on there as they're all sitting around eating these burgers? It reminds me of Wahlburgers.
Yeah.
There's just something connecting.
Well, I think they're so connected, and he's disconnected from everything. And I don't think he's ever realized that being disconnected mattered. And now he's around these people that are not only connected to each other, but are willing to be connected to him. And I think it starts to kind of overwhelm him what it's like to have all that love coming at you, as opposed to all that opportunity coming at you.
There's still people who settle their arguments with guns.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, they're quite a bit different from the New Yorkers, even though the New Yorkers have a good history of blowing each other away.
Yes.
But the way we view them, and probably there's many shots in the pickup truck from the front where you see two of them sitting, and behind them are two
gun rack.
Yeah, with these two guns, and it's just kind of like,
It's just part of life.
So, brother of his casual girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
enjoins him to an act of vengeance
Mm-hmm.
because he believes that she was murdered.
That she was murdered because everybody said she died of a drug overdose.
Yes.
And at first there's all these people keep saying, she wouldn't even take an Advil, you know? And so the idea is that she never touched drugs. And her brother gets him into this, that they should catch vengeance because somebody must have murdered her.
Yes.
And then you find out she was an opioid addict down the road. And the brother still wants him to get vengeance upon somebody.
And it becomes complicated, but in a really satisfying way for me, for a viewer.
Yeah.
It's not cut and dried.
No.
It's not easy to decide actually what happens to her, even though everybody knows there's no evidence that she was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And then how it ends up at some kind of a cult, or where was that toward?
Ashton Kutcher played a really interesting character. Kind of no stereotypical drug dealer that I've ever seen in a movie. He's kind of like a transplant to Texas drug dealer. And he looks somewhere in between a disco person and a cowboy, kind of mushed together.
Right.
And the way he talks is very cult-like. He has a recording studio. And the way he talks to his artists is very kind of zen and all this,
yes.
Speaking around this intensity and stuff. So he's this weird, he actually acts like a cult leader kind of thing.
And I think he's also a record producer.
Yes, that's the artist that he's got him as in a recording studio.
Yeah. Oh, and I just found Kutcher. Was he Demi Moore? Was he?
He was married to her. He's now married to, I can't remember her name. He's married with kids to somebody else now.
Yeah.
Another actress. I can't remember her name.
Never really did it big in
Mhm.
acting.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me there's something here for him.
Oh my gosh, I thought he was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
So as it progresses, what do we find out about the murder? I guess we will try not to reveal.
Yeah.
But what are we finding out along with Ben? Because really, we're traveling with him.
Right.
And he is immersing himself in this culture.
Yeah.
And he's discovering.
Yeah. The murder mystery aspect of it is kind of lost in his personal
I think you're right.
Journey.
Yes.
With the family and with his work. You know, this podcast that he is all about. And then the woman who plays his producer of the podcast is wonderful also. I've seen her in other things, but I can't remember, of course, what. But she did a beautiful job. Her part could have been bigger, but she did a really good job with, you know, she's just dealing with this practically. And you see him kind of evolve, like in a lot of movies where you have that kind of shift between how mercenary am I being in creating my work? You know, how much am I taking advantage of these people? And he comes to a real kind of turning point about his feelings about that.
And I'm going to have to close this out, Mindy.
Mm-hmm.
So what are people going to do? I mean, we already hear calls coming in now saying, please don't stop those two. They're so brilliant.
Yeah.
What are people going to do?
I would go see this is the reason I would go see this movie, is that I think we need to have reminders of how other people live.
Very
and
good.
not look at things through such a narrow vision. Yeah. So as many movies that we can see that do that, yay.
And also, it's a kind of a companion piece for me for Nope.
Mm-hmm.
People see it, that alien business,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and getting to know those cultures is really good. And the other thing I think they can do, Mindy, is they can go to the podcast experience on WCBE.
Yes.
And actually hear us in the podcast called Back Talk. I mean, who would want to, but if they do,
yeah,
they want to hear more, they can go there and they can hear us, yeah. And in fact, they might even be able to hear about your reflections on El Paso.
You gotta like it. This is just the hors d'oeuvre.